Hello, Assistant. Here, I have a duration of 7 days and 8 hours. Could you present these to me in hours, please? Certainly, sir. Here you go, sir. And have a wonderful day. Thank you. What? Ever had AI fail on you yet? I have. So let's look into how to debug an OpenAI Assistant. Now, what preparations do we need to have? Now, I assume that we have made this assistant ourselves, so we should have the 3 things that we need for this debugging session. First of all, we need an API key to the actual account. Secondly, we need the assistant ID to the assistant that we're trying to debug. And thirdly, we need the thread ID that's been capturing all the messages of this run. So let's get into the actual debugging. So to hopefully understand what has gone wrong in this run, we need to read all the messages from the thread, and then we also need to read all the steps from the run. In this case, I have been using CodeInterpreter, and that one logs all the code it creates into the run steps. And the same thing will happen for any other tool that you use. Even if it's a function that you're using, there will be some traces of the thinking here. So let's dive into a specific example. First of all, we would like to read all messages from the thread. So in this case, I will be using curl to make this thread read. When we have that, we can see the run ID in this thread. So with this run ID, we can make a second call to the run and retrieve all the steps from it. I use curl for this one as well. Now in my case, I've been using CodeInterpreter, so all the code that CodeInterpreter has made for me is in these steps. So what I actually do is I just extract it from these run steps messages and put it into a file and make it runnable. I also insert some print stages just to understand where it actually went wrong in this code. And then I run this code locally. Now we can see in the printout from this local run that everything looks perfect up to a certain point. It looks like the code, it just forgets the number of days of this duration there is. I mean, a day is 24 hours. With this long duration, we can't just forget about it. So this is the actual problem that we have found with this assistant. It is the actual presenting of the duration in hours that is more or less forgetting a number of days. Now, locally I can fix the code for myself, but we will try to fix the instructions so that this doesn't happen. So an update of the instructions should be enough to make this assistant run as it should. So let's try to fix the instruction for this assistant. I'm going to Playground to do this. It's kind of simpler for me. And this is what it looks like. If you press Edit the instructions, and as you can see in the bottom, I have just added one sentence to this instruction. 1 day of total duration is equal to 24 hours each. And let's try and validate a run using this instruction. And to verify it, we start another run on this assistant in the same way as we did in the first one. It will take another 2 minutes to complete, so I sped it up a bit so we can get the results faster. And yes, here we can see that we get the right results. This change of the instructions work. Now, personally, I would actually use the extracted code from this assistant and use that locally, because for me it is both faster and cheaper than to use the assistant to do it. But then this example is a bit simple for an assistant, so if you have a task that is more complex than this one, there should be more value in whatever you get out of it. Now, I do hope that this peek into debugging an assistant workflow has given you the courage to develop your own assistant. Hopefully, a bit more complex than mine. So you should be able to start your own AI journey. Now, this assistant is just a small example of what assistants can do. Here, in Suggested, is my description of what assistants really are and what they potentially can be used for. Click it, and I'll see you there in just a second.